Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at my Sinister Cup run and how I ended up doing in the tournament. And so the Sinister Cup is done in the Great League, and since it's coming around for a second time, the rules have changed slightly, so I will go through those with you. To start, the Sinister Cup is a bring 6 use 3 style tournament. So basically you're allowed to bring 6 Pokemon, and then for each battle you can pick 3 of those 6. And it is done in the Great League, so only Pokemon up to 1500 CP are permitted, and only Pokemon with at least one of the following types are permitted: Ghost, Psychic, Steel, and Fighting, and all species with at least one of the 4 allowed types are permitted, except mythical Pokemon, Skarmory, Hypno, and Pokemon with any dark typing, and only one of each Pokemon species is permitted on your team of 6. And there are a few exceptions to those rules, the first of which being Shiftry, Murkrow, Honchkrow, Crawdaunt, and Sharpedo are now eligible, and on the ban list are Drifblim, any legendaries, Galarians, or Shadows. And there are 3 rounds to this tournament, and in each round you face off against a new opponent and you play a best of 3 series, and you do all play each 3 games. So without further ado, we're going to hop into my first series, and this is actually going to be against my good friend Pisistratus. So without further ado, let's hop into it. So we're hopping into game number 1 versus Pisistratus, and I lead my Alolan Marowak into his Medicham. So this is a pretty good lead for me. He counter swaps into Claydol. I do stay in for a bit just so I can land a Shadow Ball, since that would be doing super effective damage. And I throw the Shadow Ball. Unfortunately, he does shield, so I switch into my Shiftry. And Shiftry with its dark moves is going to be also dealing super effective damage onto the Claydol. So I am building up some energy and going for the foul play, and as I mentioned, this will be doing super effective damage if it goes unshielded, and it does. It takes it out, and Empoleon comes in. Here I do make a mistake, unfortunately. I do go for the foul play instead of the Leaf Blades. That was a mistake on my part. He comes back in with the Medicham, and I am going for the foul play correctly this time, and that does some nice neutral damage, and he's able to farm me down with counter. I come back in with the Alolan Marowak, and there's going to be a charge move coming through. I choose not to shield. Unfortunately, it was a Psychic. I was hoping that it was a bait, but he did not bait. It's a really good play by my opponent there. And I am able to land the Shadow Ball. He comes in with Empoleon, and I bring in a Bastiodon in back. So unfortunately, we are hard countered in the back. Empoleon is going to be doing quite a bit of damage to Bastiodon. And the Hydro Cannon's coming through. This is going to be doing a ton of damage to that Bastiodon. I do get to the Flamethrower. This will be doing neutral damage, but unfortunately not enough. Bastiodon does not have a very high attack stat, and he's able to waterfall down, and he's able to take us out. And so we do lose game 1, unfortunately. Something I'm noticing about his team is he doesn't have a good answer for Alolan Marowak, so I do decide to lead Alolan Marowak again, since he doesn't really have a good counter for it besides Empoleon. We catch the Claydol up front, so this is going to be a good matchup for us. The Confusions on Claydol are going to be doing quite a bit of neutral damage, but we'll be able to threaten with super effective Shadow Ball damage. I do go for the bait here, hoping to get the shield, and we do get the shield. That's huge. Charge move coming through. I decided to shield it up just because Alolan Marowak is somewhat squishy, so we do shield that up here, building up some extra energy, and this time I'm going for the Shadow Ball. I'm hoping that he thinks I'm baiting, so he'll let this through. He does shield it up, unfortunately, but with Hex, I generate energy very quickly, and I'll be able to outpace him and get to the Shadow Ball, and this will be taking out the Claydol. And he does bring in that Empoleon. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get to the Bone Club. I switch in my Shiftry here, and here, unfortunately, I make another mistake. I do decide to let this go, Drill Peck, and then he switches in his Medicham. I try to switch out, but one counter takes me out. And here, I'm going to have to call the bait. That's my only win condition. Unfortunately, I do decide to shield it up, and it's a bait. So had I not shielded, I would have been able to flip this matchup. But unfortunately, I shielded, and he baited me. So at this point, one Psychic is going to be taking me out. Medicham gets the Psychic, and this is going to be a good game. So unfortunately, we do lose game number 2. And so we're hopping into the third game here, and my learning from the first 2 games was he really likes bringing Empoleon. So I decide to bring my Primeape in back to counter the Empoleon. We catch the Medicham up front, so this is a pretty good lead for us. He safe swaps Claydol. I learn from my mistake. I instantly go into Shiftry, and I go for the foul play, and this will be pressuring the health and shields on that clay doll. That does a ton of damage. He throws. I'm going to let this go, purely just because it's an earth power and that's not very effective, and we should be able to farm down. And I am fully expecting the Medicham to come back in, since its counters are doing super effective. I do go for the foul play here, and that is going to do a nice amount of damage. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get to the second charge attack. I come right back in, and he swaps, so I swap, and now I'm in a great position because Primeape is doing super effective damage, and Primeape is absolutely deleting this Empoleon. Now we have a ton of energy on the Primeape, and I'm able to get to the Night Slash, and this would be doing neutral damage, and quite a bit since it's very attack weighted, so he does have to shield, and I'm going to let this go. I'm going to save both shields for Alolan Marowak. And it's just a power-up punch, so he was actually baiting, so that was a good no-shield by us. We come back in, we're going to be able to shield this up, and we'll just need to get to 2 Bone Clubs, 1 to get the shield and 1 to take him out. We are at the 2 Bone Clubs, we're going for the first. This will be getting the shield, and then since it's slow enough, the second Bone Club is going to be enough to take him out. So even though, unfortunately, we did end up losing 2 out of 3, we did come back and get that Game 3 win. Now we're hopping into our second set. This is against Leo Like a Boss, who is actually the tournament organizer and is a very talented battler. For these matchups, I do decide to lead Alolan Marowak again. It has a lot of really positive matchups in this meta, so I do like it quite a bit. And we catch Infernape up front. So this is a fairly good matchup for us, to be honest, since we should be resisting a lot of the moves. He switches into Crawdaunt, and we counter swap into Shiftry. And Shiftry is going to be very good against Crawdaunt, just because we are going to be able to do super effective damage. We build up some extra. Unfortunately, we do lose CMP because Crawdaunt is very, very attack weighted. We do go for our Leaf Blade. If he doesn't shield, this will be taking out the Crawdaunt. He does shield, but we're able to get to a second one, so we were almost able to go back to back there, which is awesome, and we take out the Crawdaunt. That Infernape's going to come back in, and we are able to get to a Leaf Blade right before we get farmed down, and that does a ton of damage because Infernape is very squishy. We're going to come back in with the Alolan Marowak, and we're going to let this go. It is a Blast Burn, which applies a lot of damage, but honestly doesn't do a ton. So Marowak's holding its own there, and we're able to go back-to-back Bone Clubs to burn his shield, and this should be taking him out. Perfect, and he has a Gallade in the back. We are trying to get to the Shadow Ball. Unfortunately, I don't think we're able to get there, so we just go for the Bone Club. That does some nice damage, and we switch in our Bastiodon. And so at this point, we have to call his bait on close combat. We call it, and it's a Leaf Blade. That's huge. Now we're going to shield up this charge move. This should be the close combat. It is. So huge call by us, and we are able to get to the Stone Edge, and this will be taking out the Gallade. So we do take game 1. So a very, very close battle, but by successfully calling his baits, we are able to take that game. Hopping into game number 2 here, and I did really like the team that I was running, although I was a little worried about the Bastiodon in back being a bit of a liability, so I do decide to switch it up slightly. I have Primeape up front, and we have a horrible lead. Look at how much damage Confusion does. I'm going to safe swap into my Alolan Marowak. He counters with Bastiodon, and here I make a mistake again. I'm going for a Shadow Ball, and actually the more energy efficient move is Bone Club. Unfortunately, I didn't learn that till after my battles, but as you can see in this particular battle, that ends up being helpful because there's a ton of health left on Bastiodon, and I can farm it all the way down with Primeape. So in a way, my mistake ended up helping me out because I'm at back-to-back Night Slashes, so I'll really be able to pressure this Gallade. We do get the first one through, we're able to get to the second one, and then as soon as we throw this, we'll be able to immediately switch out. And unfortunately, they do catch us. So we do decide to let this go. And then we're going to save both of our shields for our Shiftry in back, which we are able to do. And charge move coming through from the Gallade. We're a little worried it's close combat, and it was. So that was a really good shield by us. And we're going for the Leaf Blade. I don't even have to hit the bubble. Since its defense is lowered, that should take him out. But he actually chose to shield it. So bold plays there, and he has the Crawdaunt in back. Perfect. This is why we ran Shiftry. We're able to KO that Crawdaunt and take out the Gallade for the win. So hopping into game 3, we have won the series, so we're feeling pretty good, and we're going to run the exact same team. And he runs the exact same team as well, at least so far that we've seen. So I'm hoping it's the exact same team. As we'll find out, it's not quite. Unfortunately, I go for Shadow Ball again. Here he learns his lesson though, and he doesn't throw his energy. He actually just farms me down. So this is the better play for him, is to keep his energy, because that way he can then threaten the shield on the Primeape. And you can see him waiting on my switch clock, going in with Primeape, and he's going to be going for the Flamethrower. And I have to shield this up because Primeape is very squishy. I'm able to farm down, but I don't have nearly as much energy as I had last game, and I'm down a shield. So I switch out into Shiftry, and he brought the Infernape in back. So at this point, there's almost nothing I can do. I'm hard countered every Pokemon, like the lead, my safe swap, and my closer. So at this point, it's kind of just a loss, unfortunately. But hey, really good play by my opponent, adapting to what I was running. So can't even be mad. I'm just impressed, to be honest. And so here I do get the Leaf Blade, which does get the last shield. And here I have some slight play. What I have to do is shield this up, and if I can farm this all the way down, I may have a chance. I'm going for the farm down, and the 1 HP Blast Burn. No! So we're taken out, so we do lose game 3. But hey, we did win 2 out of the 3, so it's going pretty well. And our third game is going to be against MGM Corruptions. He leads Girafarig, which at first I thought was a good matchup, but since it is a dual typing of normal and psychic, it actually single resists my ghost attacks. So this is not a great matchup for me. He does shield up the Shadow Ball, and here I do decide to let this move go, and then I am going to be shielding this up as well, and it has Thunderbolt. I'm going to safe swap into Shiftry again, and he counters with a Probopass, so I'll be going for my Leaf Blade. This will be doing some neutral damage onto the Probopass, and I'm going to build up some extra and get to another Leaf Blade. This is why I love Shiftry as a safe swap in this meta. It's so spammy that it can expend a ton of energy. Charge move coming through from the Probopass, I let it go, and it's a Rock Slide, which we can survive. And we are able to get to another Leaf Blade. This is huge, and this should either be taking it out or getting a shield. And he lets it go, so we're happy with that. We have switched back, comes in with Blaziken and just deletes us out of existence here. And we're going to come in with the Marowak, and we're going to be going for the Shadow Ball, so we're going for the KO here, hoping there's no shield. Unfortunately, he does shield up. Charge move coming through. And here, I let this go, and it's a Blaze Kick. That was my win condition, was calling his bait. He switches into Girafarig, we counter with Primeape. And here we will be able to shield this up and then farm all the way down since those counters are neutral. Oh, we actually do decide to throw here. I stand corrected. And that is going to be taking out the Girafarig. Blaziken comes in, and Blaziken is going to be throwing its energy. And that's going to be taking out the Primeape. We come back in with the Marowak and unfortunately cannot quite get it. Good game. And we're hopping into game number 2, and we catch the Probopass up front. Honestly, pretty happy with this lead, purely just because it's not the Blaziken. The Blaziken is what I worry about when running Shiftry, so we're fine there. Charge move coming through, we can afford to let this go. So we'll be fine there, and we can let the Rock Slide go, building up some extra energy, and we throw right away onto the Probopass. This should be getting it low, but will not KO. That does get it really low. He goes for the charge move. I shield this up, and watch this play right here by my opponent. It's phenomenal. He quick swaps into Blaziken, and we are countered down, so we lose all that energy. That is absolutely tragic. Blaziken's going for the Blast Burn. We do resist it. We're going for the Shadow Ball here, and we're hoping that he decides to no-shield this. Honestly, probably wasn't a good decision, but he shields it up, so we wasted a bunch of energy there. And here I do decide to shield this up since I'm confident that I can get to 2 Bone Clubs before he can get to another one. We do get to both. Now we're really hoping he shields so we can make him waste his shield. He shields, and then we throw back to back. So this is huge. We've now burned his shield. He just wasted it, and he loses all the energy on the Blaziken. He comes in with Girafarig. We come in with Primeape, and we're in a good position. We're able to get to the Night Slash. This will be doing huge damage onto the Girafarig, and we're able to counter down. And the Probopass gets countered down as well. So we take game 2. So we have a fighting chance. So we're now 4-4 through 8 games. And Girafarig up front. Unfortunately, this is a lost lead. I learned from my mistakes last time, though. I immediately safe swap Shiftry. He comes in with the Blaziken. Oh, things are not looking good for us. So we go for the Leaf Blade. That actually gets a shield. Unfortunately, we can't get to the second one, which is tragic. We come in with the Alolan Marowak, and we're just going to soak up energy. So we are able to take the Blast Burn, and we're building up some extra energy here. We're going for the Bone Club, and this should be doing a ton of damage if it hits, which it does. Yes, that applies a good amount of damage. And here, I decide to no-shield this, and it's a Blaze Kick, so we call his bait again. So that's a huge play. We're able to get to the Bone Club, and this should be doing super effective damage onto the Probopass. And we quick swap into our Bastiodon. He comes in with his Girafarig, and Girafarig has Thunderbolt, I believe, which is neutral, but doesn't do a lot of damage. So we decide to let that go. We're building up some extra energy here, and we build up one Smackdown extra before we throw our Stone Edge. And Stone Edge does connect. He switches out into his Probopass. So we do have a shield advantage, which we're using here, and we're going to need to go for the fire move, which is the Flamethrower. So we're going to need to get to one Flamethrower to get the shield, and the second Flamethrower to do some neutral damage and hopefully take it out. Here I'm building up, and I try and go for the sack, and it doesn't let me go for the sack. They really need to fix sack swaps. Unfortunately, I go for the Flamethrower. We CMP tie. I'm like, oh, please don't kill me. Thunderbolt, we survive with 1 HP. We are able to get the Flamethrower off. Will it be enough? It's not. We switch back into a Marowak, and we're able to Hex down for the win. So a heck of an ending there. Oh my goodness. I was on the edge of my seat when I was playing. Hands sweaty, all of that. So all in all, we did pretty well. I'm pretty happy with how I did. I believe we ended up tying for second, although with tiebreakers, we ended up finishing fourth. So still pretty solid, and we won 2 of our 3 sets and 5 out of the 9 total games. So all in all, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm excited to do more Silph Cups in the future. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing. Definitely helps out the channel, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.